Hey everyone, Pastor Matt here at Cornerstone Church in Marshfield. Happy to be with you today, and I hope you're having a great day. We are in the beginnings of Holy Week as we anticipate, of course, Good Friday and then Easter Sunday, and there's a lot to be thankful for, of course, as we move into this weekend in which we reflect upon Jesus laying down his life for us, but not staying dead in the grave, but rising from the dead and ascending into heaven, and now being seated at the throne of God in complete control of all things. And we simply await his second coming, and how exciting that day will be. Well, today, as many of you know, our Cornerstone Connections go right in line with the Bible reading plan that we're doing here at Cornerstone. It's a 2-year Bible reading plan in which we're making our way through the entire Bible. So sometimes we're in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Sometimes we're in a couple books in the Old Testament, like we are currently with the book of Leviticus and the book of Psalms. And so today I just want to continue and do our best to work through the book of Leviticus, though it can kind of seem perhaps as you're reading it to be a bit dry and tiring and why all the rules and the regulations. But just want to remind us that even a book like Leviticus that just is all details of law and offerings and all the stuff, it still points us to Jesus Christ. And hopefully we'll see a little bit more of that today. So we're going to be in Leviticus chapter 7, just a small portion of that. And before I do any reading there, it's interesting as we get into Leviticus chapter 7, verses 11 through 15, which I'm going to be reading here in a moment. My Bible subtitles that section as the fellowship offering. Perhaps your Bible calls it the peace offering. I've seen it stated both ways. But either way, what you may have noticed if you've been reading along with us is that we've already read about this offering. And then if you page back and at the beginning of chapter 7, it says the guilt offering. And we already read about that one early in Leviticus. And the sin offering, the grain offering, the burnt offering. And so it's kind of interesting. As I began to read, I was like, didn't we already cover this? But fortunately, there's people way smarter than me that study the Bible really well and can give us some insight. So I'd encourage you to do the same as you read Leviticus. You find out that there's a reason why there's repetition and that there's details, extra details that are being included in chapters 6 and 7 about these offerings that weren't included in the early chapters of Leviticus. So with that said, I want to zoom in on the fellowship offering, or again in your Bible, I might call it the peace offering. And I want to give us some insight from a couple of smarter guys than me of how what we read about this fellowship offering or this peace offering, again, points us to Jesus Christ. Okay, so let me read for us verses 11 to 15 out of chapter 7 in Leviticus. It says, "These are the regulations for the fellowship offering a person may present to the Lord. If he offers it as an expression of thankfulness, then along with this thank offering, he is to offer cakes of bread made without yeast and mixed with oil, wafers made without yeast and spread with oil, and cakes of fine flour, well kneaded and mixed with oil. Along with his fellowship offering of thanksgiving, he is to present an offering with cakes of bread made with yeast." So note that we have cakes without and cakes with yeast. "He is to bring one of each kind as an offering, a contribution to the Lord. It belongs to the priest who sprinkles the blood of the fellowship offerings. The meat of his fellowship offering of thanksgiving must be eaten on the day it is offered. He must leave none of it till morning." So again, in this fellowship offering, this peace offering, we see there are cakes that are made without yeast, and that's required, but there's also some that are made with yeast. And what is this all about? Well, let me just read for you a little bit from the commentator David Guzik writes this. He says, "In the symbolism of the sacrificial system, this is fascinating. The peace offering or fellowship offering was accompanied by the priest holding before God unleavened bread in one hand and leavened bread in the other. In some ritual manner, the unleavened and the leavened were waved before the Lord. And from a New Testament perspective, we may connect this to the fact that Jesus Christ has made peace between Jew and Gentile, breaking down the wall that previously separated them." And he quotes Ephesians 2:11 through 18. That previously separated them, and Jesus Christ himself is our peace, Ephesians 2:14, because of the sacrifice he made of his own flesh. And then he quotes the commentator Morgan. who says the peace offering is supremely the symbol of communion based on reconciliation. It is the offering which symbolizes two sides to a great transaction. One of those that is that of God, and the other is that of man. God and man are at peace. The Godward side can only be symbolized by that which is unleavened, free from all evil, separated from everything that tends to corruption. On the other hand, there remains in man much of imperfection. This is symbolized by the leavened cakes. So there you go, friends. Perhaps as you read today out of Leviticus 7, you thought, what is this all about? Well, remember, it continues to point us to Jesus Christ and what he's done on our behalf, making peace between God and man, and also allowing there to be peace between man and man. What a gift, huh? Have a great day, friends. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.